What's going on, guys? Eternal Wind back with another Ghost of Tsushima video, and today we are going to cover my full Sarugami Samurai build. Now this build is going to utilize both pieces of the Sarugami, and it's going to be both very offensive and defensive. You're going to be able to hold points in Nightmare while dishing out tons of damage, as well as being able to perfect parry and perfect dodge to unleash devastating counterattacks. So let's get right into the gear. Obviously, we have Wrath of Sarugami with melee and perfect parry, and intimidating counter and moon stance. Now, if you're still, for whatever reason, unable or just don't like moon stance, you can rock either Burning Blade or Way of the Flame, whatever you'd like to put instead of moon stance, but it's my favorite, so that's what I'm rocking. And then we're just using a longbow with range damage, reload speed, helmet piercing ammo, and versatile so that we can equip it on the samurai. You can either use longbow or a half bow. I have both practically set up the exact same. It's just whatever you prefer. This has more fire arrows than the half bow, but this also can pretty much land a headshot no matter what you're shooting at. So it just depends on what you want to do there. And then we've got Sarugami's Glare with Oni and stagger damage, because with this thing being a defense charm, this thing unfortunately does not have melee damage, and even more so counter damage. But to maximize the damage of not only this charm, but for the build as well, we're using Oni and stagger damage. And then we're rocking it with Blessed Strikes and Leeching Parry. The reason we're running it with Blessed and Leeching is because we're running Spirit Pull as well. Raging Flame is on a ridiculous cooldown, and since we're not using Spirit Kunai for that, Spirit Pull is going to be our best option to maintain our health. And whenever that's on cooldown, Leeching Parry will help. And again, the reason I have Leeching Parry is because we aren't using Healing Strike. So if you do decide to use Healing Strike, maybe you could put Fire Master on there if you want to run that and Raging Flame. But I want to use my class ability as much as I can and stay topped off. And then Leeching Parry is going to allow us to do that at any point, which is nice. And then to further increase our offensive capabilities, we have melee and ghost weapon damage on the kunai with supermassive and hidden blades, and the caltrops with ghost weapon damage, status effect duration, deep bags, and fired up. Absolutely no point in running munitions for this build with these caltrops, so that's why we have what we have on there. As for the techniques, we are using Spirit Pool and then Deep Strikes because duh. And this is where we slightly changed it up. So we're running Critical Defense as opposed to Healing Strike, because this is going to be the only thing in the game that is actually going to increase your dodge window. And with this being a relatively tanky and defensive build, being able to stay alive and on point as long as possible is key for this build. Not only is this going to help increase your perfect dodge window for your Sarugami's Glare counterattack, but it's also going to give you pretty much yet another stack of perfect parry. So it's going to be real easy to get a perfect parry counterattack with the Wrath of Sarugami, as well as leech back health through Leeching Parry for that. Again, if you don't want to use this, you definitely can use Healing Strike, but because we're using Sarugami's Glare, again, this is the only thing that increases perfect dodge window. And then we're rocking Legendary here so that we can equip both pieces. Alright, let's show off the build.
What legend would you like to hear? A harrowing tale. Blood and steel.
Alright. Let's see what we can do. That attack is so badass. Come on, bitch. now he's staggered.
Ghost returned the Oni to its
And
realm.
he is staggered as well. Nice chunk of damage there.
Feel my blade!
That one's dead. Now we should have
Oni is my level body.
okay. With that, let's just go ahead and kill him. So he's gonna try to run. You can just kill him with that. And then you get that stagger damage, which is disgusting. Nice. And we're back to full health. Stagger him. More damage.
The ghost became a deadly storm.
I did not mean to jump up there.
Ghost defeated.
I suppose that works. Let's eliminate the enemies that we can't perfect dodge or perfect parry very easily. And then we'll just
The enemy fell to a counterattack.
get nice chunks of health back in between Bless Strikes. Now Bless Strikes is back. So they're actually going to stagger him. And you can see he pretty much just melted his entire health bar. Come in hot, stagger him. Overkill, but
There was no match.
and that's
for the
going to be
ghosts.
an example of the build. This thing is extremely fun to play. You can play off of both perfect parries and perfect dodges to, you know, dish out some really nice damage. And depending on the situation, you know, you'll be able to tell which one you'd rather do, a perfect dodge or a perfect parry. You know, if you just have one enemy, perfect parrying is really nice. But if you're in the middle of a group, try to get that perfect dodge, because that Sarugami's glare counterattack is going to do a pretty good job at stripping a lot of their stagger gauge, if not all of it, which is going to allow the stagger damage on the charm to pretty much allow you to decimate either through your ultimate, your caltrops, your kunai, your Moonmaster cancel. I kind of showed you through the demonstration as to what you can do once you've actually been able to get a perfect dodge. It's a really badass attack. Like I said, I really like the animation. I'm not super fond of the charm, but I think it's okay, butterfly. But I'm not a huge fan of the charm, but on the Samurai, I think it works pretty well because of that deep strikes bonus through perk 1 of the techniques with that 25% additional melee damage. It helps considering the fact that Sarugami's Glare is actually a defense charm as opposed to an offensive charm. But it does have Oni on there and staggered, which will also increase the damage of your perfect parry, rapid Sarugami counterattacks. So it actually synergizes quite well. And for those of you that may not be aware, if you saw, we had 40% ghost weapon damage. So when you use that against an Oni, because we have Oni damage, now that's 50%. But let's say that Oni staggers. Now that's 70% extra damage that your kunai is going to do and your caltrops are going to do. And once your caltrops stagger them, even though we don't have Fire Master, once they're staggered, they're going to take even more damage by having staggered damage on the Wrath, or the staggered damage on the Sarugami square. It's a really fun combo. I really wish that both the perfect parry and the perfect dodge counterattacks were mixed into one, or to at least have counter damage available on the charm, or even melee damage. I think you'd be able to get a little bit more out of it. But again, that deep strikes buff for the samurai makes up for a lot of that. But alright guys, that's going to be an example of the build. Please feel free to smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of my content. I appreciate you coming out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Doses!